everyone, I'm Peter from Seibert, and today I'm very honored to have a guest that has traveled very far to come here to Wiesbaden, Germany. So please meet Brad.
Thanks, Peter. My name is Brad from Quirk Apps. We've come from Melbourne, Australia. We like to focus on developing Jira apps that help customers adopt Agile at scale.
Oh, and Agile at scale, that's what I love. So I'm very happy to have you here. Thank you for coming. Why did you come here at all? And what have you done with your apps so far? And what has changed recently?
Yeah, good question. So a little bit about us. We are Agile coaches at heart. So we've had a lot of exposure to working with customers that are trying to go through their Agile at scale journey. We identified that a lot of customers needed additional solutions in the Jira space, particularly that didn't exist in the market. So we decided to try and fill that need. And we've grown significantly, thankfully, and we're now at the part where we are partnering with Seibert Media to continue that journey.
That's great, thank you. I really like the idea of you coming from the coaching perspective and needing solutions for your customers, and then coming up with the idea, well, we need solutions, they're not there, so why not just build them ourselves? How did you go with this? I mean, from Agile coaching to programming apps is not the most common way, I'd say.
No, that's a very good point. It actually is, as someone who is non-technical focused, it was quite a journey for me personally to get into the app development space. But because we identified the customer pain point so clearly and that it was common as we went from customer to customer, it became obvious what it was that we were trying to solve for. So although I was very early in my technical and app development journey, throughout the past 3 or 4 years, it's been quite rewarding and very easy to keep pursuing the idea of building solutions for people's Atlassian solutions.
Great, thank you. I think the most important app that we have talked about so far in this context is your Dependency Mapper. Mm-hmm. And I remember the big rule of scaling Agile, the first one, don't. So try to get rid of dependencies wherever you can, have autonomous teams, cross-functional, delivering value from end to end. But obviously dependencies are always an issue. So how did you come to solve that, or what was the problems that your customers had?
Definitely. Well, our customers typically found themselves in one of two problem spaces. So they were either trying to adopt a Scaled Agile Framework like SAFe in its entirety, and they were finding it difficult to coordinate their teams at such a magnitude, and the dependency management aspect was lacking in many respects, but it's still a critical component of that scale. So to your point, even though the intent is to eliminate those dependencies, early on in the journey, it's a common fact that those dependencies need to be managed and taken care of actively on a day-to-day basis. We try to develop solutions that are more framework agnostic, but still allow customers to continue their Agile at scale journey.
Yeah, I see this quite often that we see customers that kind of buy SAFe and try to adopt SAFe, go all in with SAFe, but they're struggling because they aren't Agile at heart. And it sounds to me like your app can solve an issue when organizations really start bottom up and understand that they have first issues with scaling and in scaling. So dependencies, managing dependencies seems to be one of the first issues that they need to tackle. So
absolutely.
I really like the idea of you being framework agnostic and having the teams understand what's going on and trying to manage their dependencies between teams and between pretty much everything in a Jira context, right?
Absolutely, yeah. It's transparency first is one of our key principles. So you need to be able to see the dependencies in order to be able to manage them. But even in critical ceremonies like SAFe PI planning, for example, if other teams want to integrate into that way of working, then we want to provide a means that they can easily plug and play with existing SAFe teams or PI planning participants.
Mm. Well, you might know that as Seibert we have an app called Agile Hive, which especially helps organizations that go all in with SAFe, at least in parts of the organization. It grows with the customer needs as well, but it doesn't go into depth as deep as Dependency Mapper goes when it comes to managing dependencies. It's good to visualize and identify dependencies between teams in PI planning. So on top of that, what else does Dependency Mapper do than just identify and visualize dependencies?
Good question. So I guess compared to an Agile Hive, we try to focus on a particular use case or a problem space and really go in depth in that, whereas Agile Hive would be more end-to-end solution oriented. What we also offer, in addition to simple visualization of dependencies, we also provide insights as to where the key bottlenecks are for certain teams. So if you have a collection of 10 teams that are interfacing with each other, they may or may not be optimized fully. So we provide insights as to how to better manage those dependencies. Maybe there are better team configurations that the customer can adopt to improve their way of working going forward. So we offer simple charts, we offer insights around team configuration, and again, focusing on transparency and trying to collect as much information as we can about the problem space and serve that to a customer in an easily consumable way.
I really see your background of being an Agile coach because very often dependencies, at least when we talk about it, they're Jira issues that are somehow linked, but after all, that's just data. How does that data come information, and especially what can you derive from that information, and how can you act upon that information in order to make things better, quicker, smoother? So maybe there's a little bit more you can say about that.
Definitely. So this is where it starts to come hand in hand with the hands-on coaching that we provide as well with a lot of our customers. So when they start using the Dependency Mapper tool, they quickly realize that even their Jira instance itself may not be configured optimally to capture and manage those issue links and dependencies within the tool itself. So when it comes to the actual issue links that are collected out of the box of Jira, they may or may not be fit for purpose for the customers. So they may say, hey, we actually need to focus our dependency capture in certain different categories than what Jira provides. But that's all a conversation that they wouldn't have been able to have otherwise without our tools. So it unlocks new conversations and capabilities that the customer may not have had otherwise.
Okay. Would you say that Dependency Mapper is focused on, let's say, dependencies between teams, or where in an organization that is represented in Jira does the Dependency Mapper come into play?
Good question. So we provide a lot of options to the customer as to where they want to focus their attention. Whether you want to focus internally within a team and focus on your day-to-day dependencies as a Scrum team, for example, we'll provide that capability. If you only want to focus on external dependencies, we can also filter those internal ones out and let the teams focus more from more of a PI planning aspect or a Scrum of Scrums even to have better conversations in those forums. We provide a whole multitude of different configurations to allow customers to fulfill their needs around certain ceremonies or day-to-day events. So it's really up to the customer to tell us how they use the tool and what they want to get out of the Dependency Mapper, and we should be able to provide that for them.
Cool. So whenever there is dependencies and you want to see them in Jira, the Dependency Mapper will be able to help you, and not only help visualize them, but also get ideas of how you can work with these dependencies to either get rid of them or at least not be slowed down to tackle bottlenecks. Is that correct?
100%. So we definitely promote the use of Jira as it is. So we don't introduce anything custom or bespoke on top of your Jira instance. You just tell us how your issue types are configured and how your issue links are configured, and we'll take care of the heavy lifting after that.
Cool. So talking about Jira, what's your app for? Is it Jira Cloud only? Is there a data center?
Yeah, good question. So we do offer solutions on both cloud and data centers, and we are also cloud fortified as well. So we do participate in all the Atlassian provided security programs.
Nice. I mentioned Agile Hive before, which is an app, a solution that helps organizations implement SAFe in an easy way, help the teams work with SAFe. And dependencies, of course, are just one part of this whole idea. So Agile Hive does a whole lot more, but it helps with dependencies already. Is there a competition between Dependency Mapper and Agile Hive, or would it be an addition? What do you think?
Definitely, I definitely see an opportunity for a collaboration between the two tools. They can definitely sit side by side and work harmoniously together as two solutions that ultimately serve the same purpose, but like I mentioned before, different focus areas. So we go hard on the dependency side, but when it comes to things like road mapping or other aspects of SAFe that dependency management wouldn't fulfill, then that's where Agile Hive takes over and provides that more end-to-end capability focus. So yeah, they definitely work side by side.
Yeah, cool. I like that idea, and I also see the need, because there is always organizations that don't adopt SAFe fully right away, but they work differently in different areas of the organization.
Definitely.
And one of the first steps usually is building hierarchies of work items when you adopt SAFe or any other method of scaling Agile. Sometimes they might not even know that they're scaling Agile. They just identify specific needs like that hierarchy, or the next one would always be managing dependencies. So I think it comes in really handy to help an organization, even if you've decided to work with Agile Hive. It can help you do all the SAFe ceremonies, do PI planning, breakout sessions, identify dependencies between teams, also significant dependencies to features. But going into depth, really having reports on the dependencies, understanding what can be done to get rid or to cope with the dependencies. That's really something that your app does, if I understand correctly.
Absolutely. And when it comes to issue hierarchy management, we try to be flexible as well. So we found that quite often our customers would link their dependencies in strange and wonderful ways that we would ideally like to cater to in a more formal or, I guess, consistent manner. But at the end of the day, if they're linking issues between certain hierarchy levels, we want to be able to fulfill that need. So we actually don't force any restrictions or force any rules when it comes to hierarchy management. If you want to visualize things at different levels, you can definitely do that. But again, it really comes down to the customer's preference and how they want to include or exclude their dependencies in their reports.
Let's say there's an organization that has a SAFe implementation, let's say a portfolio SAFe with a portfolio on top, 3, 4, 5 arts running, and they're all set in project hierarchies, which is the main configurational part in Agile Hive. And there's other projects where the organization works differently. Does Dependency Mapper also foster different ways of working in one Jira instance, or would your settings be global? So whenever you said use this link type or that link type, is that fixed?
It's definitely something that we try to cater for on an instance by instance basis, or a customer instance basis. So if you can at least tell us what those rules are that your company or your organization uses, then I'll say more often than not, we should be able to fulfill that need and visualize those dependencies accordingly. So even if you have, as you said, an entire portfolio that's sitting on a level above a service team that's sitting at the story level, for instance, then if you can at least say, this is what that configuration looks like, then I'm sure that we can provide reporting capability to back that.
Perfect. So I think it helps organizations in the need of scaling Agile, because their solutions are so big that individual teams do need to work together in order to deliver these values to the customer. It helps organizations on their way to more agility, maybe even business agility, and be very flexible about it. I like that idea, and that it works together with Agile Hive. So you might have more strict, safe parts in an organization and more flexible ones that are just on their way of becoming more agile
100%.
and handling dependencies in different ways. So I'm just interested, how many organizations that use your tool do you also coach in becoming more agile?
Yeah, well, it's an interesting question, because even though we are Australia-based, what we've found is that quite often our international customers are facing the same problems globally. So, we all share the same pain points, which is something that even the customers themselves find surprising. So we do provide remote coaching services to help teams along their journey, and to your point before, making sure that everyone is on the journey together. So if your team or your teams are scaling in a certain way, that everyone can move together going forward and scale together. But yeah, at the end of the day, we all scale the same way. We all try to follow the same ways of working principles or frameworks or methodologies. So yeah, those pain points are common across the world.
Well, it kind of plays into what we in my team really try to have as a message to the outside, that we have noticed with our friends of Keygon and with our customers, that when it comes to scaling, methodology and tooling, they're just two sides of the same coin. You know, you can't do one without the other, because we talk about hundreds or thousands of developers. And that is also the reason why I'm very happy to have your app now as an addition to the portfolio that we offer to our customers, where we really kind of try to connect things in order to make large transformations work.
100%. I think, if anything, now that we live in the post-COVID world, the need for digital solutions is becoming more and more important, and we're finding that customers are adopting those digital solutions at a much faster and accelerated rate. So we're no longer trying to duplicate different mediums or worlds between having physical dependency boards and trying to replicate that in Jira. They want to focus and have one single source of truth. So I find that tools like the Dependency Mapper and Agile Hive are becoming more and more important every passing day.
I'm happy that we have something more to offer in our Agile Scale portfolio, Tools for Agile Teams at Scale, we call it. And I'm happy to have met you. You're a cool guy, and I like your idea of bringing coaching, your coaching knowledge into the app realm. So thank you very much, Brad.
Thank you, Peter. And I'm also excited to be working with the Seibert Media family. So definitely looking forward to things ahead.
Cool. Thank you.
Thank you.